Have you ever felt like a new version of your life is calling you, but your current reality still looks exactly the same? You feel the shift inside. You feel the desire for more freedom, more money, more peace, more creative power, more alignment. But then you look around and the old reality is still there. The same bills, the same patterns, the same doubts, the same survival mode, the same feeling of waiting for abundance to finally arrive. But what if abundance is not something you are waiting for? What if abundance is a timeline? What if wealth is not only a future event, but a present probability your consciousness has not fully collapsed into form yet? Welcome to Transmutation Vortex. Today we are exploring quantum abundance, how to shift your reality and manifest infinite wealth. Now, before we go deeper, let's be clear. Quantum physics does not prove that thoughts alone magically create money. You still need action, skill, responsibility, and grounded choices. But quantum ideas give us a powerful spiritual language for transformation. In quantum theory, a system can exist in a field of possibilities before it is measured. This is often called superposition. Once observation or measurement happens, one possibility becomes more defined. Spiritually, we can use this as a metaphor for your life. There are many possible timelines available to you. A timeline where you keep repeating scarcity, a timeline where you stay afraid of visibility, a timeline where you delay your gifts, a timeline where you undercharge, overgive, and doubt yourself. But there is also a timeline where you become resourced, creative, supported, visible, valuable, and abundant. The question is not, does that reality exist? The question is, are you observing yourself as the version of you who can receive it? Because the observer matters. If you keep observing yourself through lack, fear, and limitation, your choices begin to follow that identity. You hesitate, you hide, you avoid action, you reject support, you expect disappointment, you call fear intuition, you stay loyal to the old version of yourself, and then your physical life reflects that signal back to you. This is the delayed mirror. Your current reality is often a delayed reflection of past thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and choices. Not as punishment, not because everything difficult is your fault, but because repeated internal patterns become repeated external experiences. Scarcity is not just a money problem. Scarcity is a frequency. It says, there is not enough. I am not ready. I am not safe. I am not supported. People like me do not get that. If I receive more, something bad will happen. If I become successful, I will lose love. If I charge more, people will reject me. These thoughts may seem small, but they become energetic instructions. They shape what you notice. They shape what you choose. They shape what you tolerate. They shape what you avoid. And over time, they become a timeline. So, quantum abundance begins with observation. You must observe your scarcity loop without shame. Ask yourself, where do I still expect lack? Where do I feel unsafe receiving more? Where do I keep waiting instead of choosing? Where am I still identifying with struggle? Where do I secretly believe abundance is for other people, but not for me? This is not negative thinking. This is energetic diagnosis. Because you cannot shift a pattern you refuse to see. Once you observe the scarcity loop, you can begin collapsing a different timeline. And here is the key. Wealth must stop being only a future event. Most people say, one day I will be abundant. One day I will be free. One day I will start. One day I will be ready. But one day keeps the abundance timeline at a distance. It makes wealth something you are chasing instead of something you are aligning with now. Quantum abundance asks a different question. Not, how do I get rich someday? But, What would I choose today if abundance were already becoming my reality? Would you organize your money instead of avoiding it? Would you launch the idea instead of waiting for perfection? Would you clean your environment to match your new identity? Would you stop undercharging? Would you stop wasting energy on people and habits that drain your field? Would you finally create the offer, the channel, the product, the service, the message? This is where the timeline begins to change, not just through thought, through identity-backed action. The new reality needs evidence from you, not evidence that it is already complete. Evidence that you are choosing it. That is conscious selection. You select the abundance timeline every time you choose from expansion instead of panic. Every time you take aligned action instead of hiding. Every time you receive help instead of rejecting it. Every time you stop calling struggle your personality. Every time you refuse to let old evidence define your future. Now let's talk about heart-brain coherence. This is one of the most important mechanics of manifestation. Your mind may say, I want wealth, but your heart may say, I am afraid to receive. Your mind may say, I want success, but your body may say, visibility is dangerous. Your mind may say, I am abundant, but your nervous system may still be bracing for loss. That creates a mixed signal, and mixed signals create unstable timelines. Coherence happens when your thoughts, emotions, body, and actions begin sending the same message. Your mind says, I choose abundance. Your heart says, I am safe to receive. Your body says, I can hold expansion. Your actions say, I am moving like this reality is possible. Your identity says, I am no longer available for scarcity as my home. That is when the field becomes clearer. That is when new opportunities become easier to notice. That is when inspired ideas arrive. That is when you stop sabotaging the doors that open. Because abundance is not only about attracting more, it is about becoming someone who can hold more. Now here is a practical technique. It is called the remembering technique. Instead of visualizing abundance as something far away in the future, remember it as if your consciousness has already lived it. Say, I remember the moment my abundance timeline started to stabilize. I remember when money stopped feeling like fear. I remember when opportunities began finding me. I remember when I stopped chasing and started choosing. I remember how calm I felt when I realized I was supported. This works because memory feels different from fantasy. Fantasy can feel far away. Memory feels familiar. And when the body feels familiar with abundance, it stops treating receiving as a threat. That is how you make wealth safer to your nervous system. Now try this. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine one small detail from your abundant reality. Not the whole dream life, just one detail. Maybe your desk is clean. Maybe your bank app feels peaceful. Maybe your phone has a message from a new client. Maybe your calendar has space. Maybe your home feels lighter. Maybe your body feels relaxed when money comes in. Maybe your work is finally being valued. Choose one detail. Now say, this detail already exists in my abundance timeline. I am becoming the version of me who can receive it. That small detail is important. The subconscious responds to specificity. A vague desire stays blurry. A clear detail becomes a bridge. Now let's talk about the bridge. The bridge is the period between selecting a new reality and seeing it fully appear. This is where many people give up. They do the inner work. They feel the shift. They get the chills. They see the signs. Then the old reality shows up again. A bill arrives. A delay happens. A doubt returns. A door closes. Someone questions them. Their bank account still looks the same, and immediately they say, it didn't work. But old evidence is not always failure. Sometimes it is residue. Sometimes the old timeline is still echoing while the new one is forming. This is where you must stay steady. You still take practical action. You still pay attention. You still handle your responsibilities. But internally, you do not make old evidence your identity. You say, "This is old residue. I respond responsibly, but I do not collapse back into lack." That is powerful, because the old reality survives through your automatic reaction. If every challenge makes you become the old self again, the old timeline keeps getting fed. But if you meet old evidence from a new identity, reality begins to reorganize. This is the bridge of incidents. Sometimes the path to abundance does not look like instant money. Sometimes it looks like an ending, a redirection, a new idea, a difficult truth, a sudden opportunity, a conversation, a delay that protects you, a rejection that sends you somewhere better, a moment where you finally stop betraying yourself. Not every strange event is a sign, but some disruptions are part of the reorganization. The abundance timeline may first arrive as clarity, then courage, then structure, then action, then opportunity, then money. So do not dismiss the early signals just because they are not cash yet. Capacity comes before overflow. Now let's do a final quantum abundance activation. Take a slow breath. Place your awareness on your heart. Say internally, "I am no longer available for scarcity as my identity." Breathe. "I release the belief that struggle is the only path to worthiness." Breathe. "I allow abundance to become safe in my body." Breathe. "I observe wealth as a present probability." Breathe. "I select the timeline where my gifts, actions, and energy create overflow." Breathe. "I align my thoughts, emotions, body, and choices with the abundance I am calling in." Breathe. "I do not chase abundance. I become coherent with it." Breathe. "I am collapsing the abundance timeline." Now pause. Notice what you feel. Maybe chills, maybe warmth, maybe resistance, maybe emotion, maybe peace. Whatever comes up, observe it. That is information. Your body is showing you where the shift is beginning and where the old reality still needs safety. Quantum abundance is not about pretending. It is about alignment. It is about becoming the observer who no longer agrees with lack as the final truth. It is about choosing a new reality before the outer world fully confirms it. It is about acting from the timeline you are entering, not the timeline you are leaving. So when the old reality appears, remember, it may be residue. When synchronicities appear, remember, they are markers, not the destination. When new ideas appear, remember, act on them. When fear appears, remember, regulate before reacting. And when abundance begins to arrive, remember, do not shrink, receive. Because wealth is not just something you attract. It is something you must learn how to hold. So if this message activated something in you, comment below. "I am collapsing the abundance timeline." Share one small detail from your abundant reality in the comments. Your detail might become the confirmation someone else needs. Subscribe to Transmutation Vortex for more deep dives on quantum consciousness, timeline shifting, spiritual awakening, and reality mechanics. Abundance is not far away. It is a frequency. It is a probability. It is a timeline. And it is waiting for the version of you willing to select it, embody it, and move like it is already becoming real. Welcome to Quantum Abundance. Welcome to the shift.